Hello. It's really loud here. But fortunately, when my microphone's on, you guys don't have to hear the waterfall in the background. Let me just put my board right around here. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Hope you all are doing well. I saw there was like a party going on here in the chat before, like 30 minutes before I even started. So hello to Ocean Discovery. Your message was here from forever ago. Arlie, welcome. Oh, you're here really early too. Welcome, Arlie. Cheryl, hello, Cheryl. Small. Let's see who else is here. Just looking quick through the members. And I saw Grant as well. What's up, Grant? Then a few people who aren't members, but I definitely recognize your names right away. Moorebrook, one of them. Oh, hey, Nikki. And Chris White. Welcome, you two. Thanks for being here. Okay. Isa. Yes, Isa. Make sure. Okay. Make sure I'm seeing everyone. Oh, and hello, Alex Full Metal. Yes, we have an advanced lesson today, the one and only. We have an advanced lesson. Before we get started, I always start these live streams quite early, as you're aware. So that is for going over announcements, prerequisites, making sure that the live stream is working, because we've had in the past some issues where we have big problems with it, doesn't work. So it's just kind of a buffer time. So we have about 15 minutes before we start the lesson. Before we start it though, a few quick announcements. Worksheets and outlines are on Patreon, so you can actually get a worksheet of today's live. I believe it's the biggest worksheet is it? It might be the biggest worksheet I've ever released for any live stream, period. There are 26 translation examples. They're all high advanced level, or at least advanced level for some of them. And you can practice with the forms that we're going to be learning about today. If you haven't already learned this form, I would say hold off on the worksheet, try it after we're done. But yeah, those are plenty of more examples with all of the uses of t that we're going to be covering today. Also, there is merchandise. So I know I couldn't really get you guys to buy a sweater in the summer, but when the weather gets a little cooler, I'll probably wear a sweater sometime. There's some merchandise. I'll pin something here. That's just optional. There's no requirement to purchase anything for these live streams. These live streams are always free, just so you guys know. Maybe I'll put KitKat. I like KitKat. Let's put KitKat up here. Not a sweater though. Let's do, I don't want a sweater. There we go. Okay, let's put that there. I don't know if that's the men or the women's version. Anyway, also there is a very active Discord channel that we have. And there are members there 24/7, most of the time. There are members there of all levels. There are even some native speakers. I'm in there. Several other high advanced Korean speakers are there. You can hang out with other learners. You can practice with each other in our Korean only practice channel. You can ask questions to other people. There are even, you get like extra notices and, you know, info about what's going on with everything. If you're also a member, you get access to a special members channel, which admittedly isn't too active, but it's there. Sometimes I'll share stuff in there. Also, if you are a YouTube member, you will get, oh, hey, Alex Full Metal first. Alex. Oops. Hold on. Alex Full Metal. Thank you. Thank you, Alex. And if you're a YouTube member, you will also get access to watch the abridged version of today's live stream after it finishes broadcasting. So tonight, probably about 4 hours after we finish, if you check my YouTube page, or tomorrow if you go to bed, then you can see an abridged version of what we're doing right now. So you don't have to wait until Wednesday, but everyone else, you'll still get it on Wednesday. Also, I do have one-to-one tutoring available, which is, you can find a link to that in the chat if you're interested. A few people are already doing that. It's not going to stay open for too much longer. By that, I mean for new students. Current students will probably keep it open for a while. But just as something extra for people who have been bugging me to have private tutoring. And that is all the announcements for today. So let's turn our attention to the prerequisites for just a moment. Today's lesson is going to be about several things related to t. We'll talk about exactly what that means. It's actually, this might be the most beginner accessible, advanced, but at the same time, high advanced live stream that I've ever done. So yes, it's going to be definitely fully advanced for all the sentences we're doing today. But if you're a beginner, normally I don't say this, but I think if you're a beginner, you'll still get something out of today's lesson. Whereas I don't think typically other advanced concepts, it would be too useful. This one I think you'll actually get a lot out of. So for today's lesson, in order to get the most out of today's lesson though, you want to be familiar with conjugating verbs. Now this is so that you can understand how the sentences are used mostly, I'd say. You want to make sure you can conjugate verbs in all tenses. So past, present, future, progressive tense, had, done tense, all the general conjugations. You want to be comfortable with those. You also want to be able to change action verbs into adjectives. So if you have a verb like to eat kimchi, well, how do you say Charsu who eats kimchi? Or where is the person who likes to like, 좋아하다, action verb. Where is the person who likes kimchi? If you can make that kind of sentence. Or who liked, who went there? Who's the person who went to school? Making past, present, and future conjugations of action verbs as adjectives. Then you're good for today. And you want to be familiar with the 것 같다 form, which is for like thinking something seems a certain way. I think that. I have lessons about all of these as well as live streams about all of these. So you have multiple options for where to learn these. In fact, if you want to go and watch this video right now, you have a good 10 minutes to probably finish one of these at least. Maybe not all verb conjugations, but definitely this one or this one you can learn in under 10 minutes and then come back before we start. So now let me take a look at the chat. Is this form commonly associated with machi, like manyak goes with? No, machi can go with it because machi is used as an emphatic particle, kind of like just like that, to emphasize the just sort of aspect. But no, it's not like something where it only goes with this. You can add it to anything you want. You can even add like any adverb, like 정말, right? But it's not like 정말 would have to be associated with this form, if that makes sense. The Nightbot, oh, it should be working. I had to reset. I always have to reset it. Let me check real quick. It might, because I had actually reset it right before we went live, so it's possible it's still waking up. If not, I can log out and log back in again. Okay, well, it's really slow, so I'm going to log out and log back in. Okay. All right, it's back on, but we'll give it a second to wake up. It's okay. This is why we always start a little early, to make sure everything's working out before we go. But give it a minute. Give it a minute to wake up. It's probably been sleeping for a while. Okay. And before we get started, feel free to ask any questions. I'm going to erase this in a second, though. And Nightbot definitely overslept. That's why he's called Nightbot, right? Or she. I actually don't know. Is Nightbot a boy or a girl? There. Oh no, I saw a link. I thought Nightbot was back. Yeah, give it a minute. Maybe it'll come back to life. A they. Sure. Okay, well, I'm not sure. Nightbot might just be down. Sometimes it just goes down randomly. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, anyway, hopefully it comes back sometime during the stream. So, any questions before we get started? Got about 5 minutes for some questions. Any quick questions? Wait, where is the headset, white tee, and dark Korean video game? Hey, Cameron. Bot actually stands bed overtime. Yeah, it sometimes goes down. You know, it's happened several times before. It's not the first time. But yeah, until then, thanks for posting the link manually for the Discord. When are we doing that topic that you think everyone will choose? Next week. Next week. Yeah, so we have now, what's the word? We've now finished up all of the options for our voting. So we always get 5 new options. Well, this next time we're going to get some more options again, but I believe everyone's going to pick the one that I think they will all pick. But we'll see. Maybe not. Maybe people pick something else. But there's going to be a fun option on the next poll. So we'll get to it. If everyone picks it, like I think everyone will pick it, it'll be next Sunday. If not, it'll be a few Sundays from now. Oh yeah, and most of the links, if you're looking for like links for stuff like Discord and everything, that's also in the description of this video. Nunchi is like social awareness, but has many uses. Yeah, it's kind of like social awareness. Being aware of what's going on around you and other people and stuff like that. Usually about reading nonverbal social cues and being able to read a situation in most situations. Yes, that sounds very good. Talk. It's a little bit of a bigger topic than I can explain in 3 minutes, but the really short answer is it's a way to change nouns that are Sino-Korean. So it's for Sino-Korean nouns. It originally is a feature of, I believe, directly from Chinese. And it's a way that they use to change nouns into adverbs. So by that I mean, say you have a noun for positive. 긍정적. 긍정 would be positive. So you might say there's something, it's positive, or that's, good. Now you can say it's positively. You have a word like 문화, culture, right? It's a noun. But what if you want to say culturally, like in a cultural way, making it describe in what way you're doing something? 문화적, culturally. You have 경제, economy. 경제적, economical, economically, that sort of thing. It doesn't just have to be for adverbs, though. It can also be for adjectives. I shouldn't say adverb. It's any way to make a noun to describe something else. That could be another noun or a verb. Most often it'll be used for describing verbs, but it's also used just a lot as adjectives for nouns, too. So that's really the purpose of it. And if you were to see a lot of examples, though, another one, 사회, social. Well, 사회 would just be a social structure, some sort of social matter. 사회적. Now you have something that's related to social, like socially. Like here is a social problem, socially I don't know. I'm just trying to give some general examples of my book has like a lesson on it as well. So I could probably do like if you guys want, like put that into a live stream in the future. We don't have enough time for today though. All right, Nightbot's back. Yeah, it just crashed. I actually put it on my, I have a to-do list when I set up to make sure I get everything properly set up here. And one of the things on my list is to tell Nightbot to wake up. Sometimes it still doesn't wake up. Oh, wow. Hey, Carrie. Thank you. Carrie Rich. You are amazing. Thank you. No, you're breathtaking. I think that's what Kiana says. Carrie. Thank you so much. Let's do a little, we got a dab party then before we start, actually. Oh, thank you. Okay. Cheryl. 20 dabs. Well, it's just a dab party. We just get as many dabs as we can get in. I could try doing a dab per dollar again. The only issue is when we get donations in strange currency, someone might donate to me in like pesos, and then it's like I don't know, 100 dabs. I don't know. So maybe we can get I'll add some sort of, we can add some sort of translator, converter function for the bot. I don't know. Then we could figure out how many dabs, like it'll be like, 2.35 dabs. Then I'll do like 2, and then 3.5, we could do that. That might work if we can convert it properly. Okay. So it is now almost 2 o'clock. Let's get started with our lesson. We're going to be learning about everything we're going to be learning today is related to the word t. Now, this doesn't mean d. D is completely different. D means the meaning of something. Like, what's the meaning? What does it mean? What do you mean? That's not what we're talking about. Completely unrelated. What we're talking about is t. Now, t. Let me just show you the form for it before we talk about what it actually means. So the way to use t, well, there are several ways to use t, but the main way you can use it with a verb is going to be, you take an action verb stem, now don't worry, there's other ways this can be used too. The first way we're going to learn how to use t is with action verbs. So you take an action verb stem, and then you change that action verb into an adjective. It actually I don't even need to say stem here, you know, because it technically is no longer a stem anyway. Let me remove that so it's not confusing. Okay. Oh, here it is, stem. Okay. That's why I copy pasted from my next one, which is the stem. So you take an action verb. Okay, let me start again so it's not confusing. Let's say this again. So here is the first way we're going to learn how to use t, and then we'll talk about what it means. You take an action verb stem and you change it into an adjective. So what does that mean? Well, you have a lot of options with this. That's why I say adjective and I don't just say the form you're going to use. You can take an action verb, let's just say hada. Well, you could get ha는, present tense. You could get 할, future tense, or you can get 한, past tense, for example. You could even get 하고 있는, right? Anything like that. So you have a lot of variety with what you can use, and it's just as long as it's an adjective, you're safe. So it has to be an action verb, though. Keep that in mind with this first form. There is another form we're going to be learning later that can use descriptive verbs, but first we're talking about action verbs. So then, after you get the action verb changed into an adjective, then you attach t and optionally e. So it could either just be t or tshi. Most of the time, you'll hear tshi. But in writing, you might see t used a lot in writing because it's shorter. But in speaking, you'll most often hear, in speaking, you'll most often hear tshi. Just keep that in mind. So what tshi means literally is something is, let's see, write this here. Actually, just write it in black so it looks a little bit nicer, right? We don't want to be all blue today. Literally, tshi means similar or almost the same. In that sense, you can think of it as meaning like. Something is like something else, similar to. Or, if you want a more fancy translation, as if. So as if something, similar as if this, like this, in that sort of sense. If you want to kind of put all this together, what does this mean? What does this tshi form really do? It says your guess. This is the main point about t. Okay, so this is only our first form we're going to be using t. But I want to say, if you get this, right here, you will get all four forms that we're doing today. If you understand that it means something similar to or the same, and that it could translate as like or as if, and that it's your guess, if you can understand this, that's the same for every usage of t. Every time it appears, it is the exact same thing. And all the forms we're going to be using today will use this information. So if you keep that in mind, this stuff, you will get all the 4 forms we're going to be learning today. And although this is a very advanced topic to cover, because the sentences that t will appear in are very advanced level most of the time, or they could be anyway. I think this is very approachable for a beginner. You know, high beginner, obviously, not someone who's just still learning the alphabet and basic grammar. But the concept, the way that it works is this, and this is it. That's all that tut is. It says something is like. It's just like that, as in I'm guessing. Like, I'm not 100% sure. But to me, right, I'm guessing it. To me, it's as if something. It's like something, or it's similar to, it's almost the same as. It's not the same as, but it's almost the same as. So because it's almost the same as, it's as if. But it's my thought. So keep that in mind. This tushi means that in every single usage. The other forms we're going to be using with tushi, the other forms we're going to be using today with tut, are just variations of how tut is used. Just ways of using tut. But the same meaning applies to all of the forms we're going to be talking about today, which is nice. It makes it a little bit easier for us. So, how do we use this then? Hopefully you wrote that form down. If not, kind of keep it in your mind. So the way that it works is you'll have some part of a sentence that'll come before tut. So let's just say A is whatever comes before tut. B. So you'll have A, tut, B. This means pretty much like B is almost the same Yeah, I'll keep that. As B. So this form, when you use it, we'll do some examples. This form means whatever comes before tut. So you'll have A, tut, B. This means that here, whatever comes after tut is almost the same as A, or at least it appears to me that B is almost the same as A. So B is as if A. B is like A. Or B is, it's similar to A. It's almost the same as A. B is. So keep that in mind. When you're using tut, you're actually talking about B. You're going to be saying something that comes after by comparing it to what comes before it. So keep that in mind. It's not that A is like B, what you're saying. You're saying B, whatever comes after tut, is like A. So it's as if A. That's the meaning that you get for this form. Let me give you another comparison. So hopefully so far you guys are following along, but let me give you an easy comparison here. There is another similar form that you can use in Korean to convey a similar idea as this. Actually, I said similar twice. There's another form in Korean that you can use, which is actually more of a beginner form that has a similar meaning as to in this usage. That would be like saying 처럼. Oh, actually, let me change it. Even in this form. Action verb stem plus 는 것처럼. So this is a shortcut. This is like a secret shortcut. In fact, if you can use this, you can use tut in this form anyway. So let's take an example of that. So you can have like I am. Let me think of a simple example. Like I am putting the rest on. Like I am flying. That wouldn't really work with this. 가는 것처럼, 먹는 것처럼, 하는 것처럼. If I were to say, I do something like Charsu does something, you have the same kind of meaning as you get with tut. Literally, it's kind of like saying an action verb stem with 는 것, so you have the nominalization form, 처럼, which is just the regular particle that means like, right? So this tut kind of works in the same way. However, when you use 처럼, it's more of a literal, strong meaning that just means like or similar to. And actually, 처럼 is a little bit more, 처럼 has a little bit more flexibility in it. It's just a really straightforward like something. So this doesn't necessarily have to be your opinion, your guess. It could be literal. Like it is like that. Or just like he does that, well, I enjoy doing this in that sort of sense. So this is more of a literal like, but as far as how it's used, the usage of it, the use cases are quite similar to this sort of form. Something, something, 것처럼. Like doing something, and then something else comes after that. Okay, so I'm not sure if that was too helpful, but let's go ahead and do our first sentence. Okay, I'm going to write this down. Are you guys doing okay? I'm going to write it down and leave it for a second so you can read it, but let me know in the chat, how are you guys doing? Is this, so far, are we kind of doing good? I'm going to write down our first sentence here. Okay, these sentences will get progressively more difficult as we start going into more forms. But for right now, we have this sentence. You can read it on your own. I'm just going to check the chat to make sure we're doing okay. 필리가 한국어를 한국인처럼 해요. Yeah, that would be a little different. That 처럼 usage would be different than tut, since tut has to be used with an action verb doing something. So it wouldn't just be like he speaks Korean like a Korean, but we're saying someone does something like something happens with an action verb. You'll see that when we start going over it. B equals B. Arlie. Yes, Arlie, you solved this whole form. We're done. Just ending the live stream. You found the shortcut. Okay. So we've got a sentence here which is pretty basic with how you use 듯이. So here it's 듯이, but you could as well have just said 듯, and it has the same meaning. Okay. 너무 웃겨서. 웃기다 means to be hilarious. Something is really funny. It has a couple other meanings too. But anyway, something was so funny that 미친 듯. 미치다. 미치다 means to be crazy, to lose your mind. 미친. It's used in the past tense as an adjective. Here, 미친. 미친 듯이. So here we have 웃었어요. I laughed, or it could be I smiled, but here's probably I laughed because it was so funny. I laughed as if, like, I was crazy because it was so, literally, 너무, too funny. 너무 웃겨서 미친 듯이 웃었어요. I laughed like crazy because it was so funny. So you're watching a comedy show and it's really, really funny. 너무 웃겨서, and it's so funny that 미친 듯이 웃었어요. I laughed like I was crazy. Crazy. Here we have 미친 듯이, to go crazy. 미친 듯. So let's look at this as far as literally what do we have. 듯이, I said, means, literally, it means something is similar to or almost the same as. So, almost the same as I was crazy. Not exactly the same, not just similar, but like almost as if I was crazy, right? Like I am, but not really, but like almost as if I were. Almost just the same as this action verb that comes before, 미친 듯이. So, I laughed as if, or like, I was crazy. Past tense, was. I laughed as if I was crazy. Again, with our A to B, it says B is almost the same as, so whatever comes after 듯이, whatever comes after this form in this usage, is saying that this is almost the same as this. So I laughed. It was almost the same as I was crazy. So I think that as if works as a very nice translation in most cases for this form. But just know that it doesn't just mean the word as if, but keep in mind that it's your guess that something is almost just the same as something else. So like, as if, in that sense. Okay, let's do another example. One more time though. 너무 웃겨서 미친 듯이 웃었어요. So I laughed like crazy because it was so funny. If you ever notice I like stop and say something again, it's because I know I have to edit later, And if I keep talking, it's going to be hard to edit where I made a mistake when I was speaking. So yeah, that's what it is. Okay, let's do our next sentence. Let's up the difficulty a little bit. 선물을 받고. So I got a 선물. I wrote this really messy up here. 선물을 받고. And then 뛰다. 뛰다 means to jump or to fly or to run. It can mean any of those. Only by context can you know which one it is. So we're going to get the action verb. It's an action verb to jump, fly, or to run. So we're going to get an adjective form of it. In this case, we're going to do the future tense adjective form. So would run, fly, or jump, or will run, fly, or jump. One of those. Dear 듯이. As if I would fly. Could be as if I would run, but probably in context, this is going to mean fly in this case. 선물을 받고 dear 듯이 기뻐했어요. Actually, I think there would be a space here. 기뻐했어요. Yeah, there's just not for, I was thinking just 쉽다 doesn't do that. Okay, so read the sentence for a second, and then I'm going to read it. I'm going to tell you what it means. 선물을 받고, this is talking about someone else. Okay, keep that in mind. The reason is because we have 했어요, 기뻐했어요 at the end, which is probably talking about someone else. Because this form must be used when talking about a third party. You can't say 기뻤어요 unless it was you or someone like you or me. You could use 기뻤어요. If it's him or her or someone else, it has to be 기뻐했어요. So, 선물을 받고 뛸 듯이 기뻐했어요. Okay, think about it for a second what it means. Actually, write it down. Write it down in the chat what you think this means. How would you translate this sentence? I want to check the chat for a second. Oh yeah, Cameron, you can check, if you're curious if anything's an action verb or a descriptive verb, you can check Naver Dictionary. And what it will tell you is, I'll tell you really quick, next to the verb, whatever it is, it'll either say 형용사. 형용사 means it's an adjective. That means it would conjugate as a descriptive verb. 형용사 is descriptive verb. And then if you see 동사, that is verb, so that would be your action verb, what we call an action verb. So action verb and descriptive verb. And you'll be surprised that some verbs actually have two forms. Some verbs will have a form that's a verb, and other ones will have, and it'll have the same verb, it'll have the same one, but it'll also be a descriptive verb version of it. So sometimes they'll have both. Other times you'll think, oh, I was sure this was a descriptive verb. In English, it sounds like it, but in actually Korean, it's not used as a descriptive verb, but as an action verb. So yeah, keep that in mind. Oh, I got a donation. Write my name in red. I don't have a red pen, do I? I think you broke my board, Arlie. But here's what I could do. Okay, I don't have a red pen, but I do have, I can make my board red. I think, right? Does this work? Is my remote control dead already? Okay, I think the remote control already died. Get a new battery for the remote control. Okay, hold on. I can do this. We can do this. Let's manually change it. Okay. Is that going to work? There we go. Okay. I will put the board in red for a minute in your honor. And I'll write your name in black. I'll write your name in black so that it'll be a little bit hollow so that the red light can fill it, I guess. Okay. Arlie. Okay, I write really poorly. There we go, Arlie. Thank you. Okay, we'll leave the board in red for a second. I'll change it after a minute. All right, so, yeah, I have a remote, but I think the battery already died for it. It was like a free, it's like the thickness of like a business card, really cheap remote. I'll just replace the battery. Okay. 선물을 받고 뛸 듯이 기뻐했어요. So this third party, this person, he or she, let's just say 철수. So 철수, 선물을 받고, he got a gift, and then 받고 뛰다, fly, 뛸 듯이, as if he would fly. So he's like so happy, 기뻐했어요. He was happy as if he would fly. He's so happy he could fly. Like that sort of sense. 뛸 듯이 기뻐했어요. He was so happy that he could fly, is what you get. 선물을 받고 뛸 듯이 기뻐했어요. Again, notice that you have an action verb here changed into an adjective. Here they use future tense. 뛸 듯이 기뻐했어요. So happy. So B is 기뻐했어요. A is 뛰다. So he was happy as if flying, or he being happy was almost the same as he would fly. Literally is what you get. But simply, happy as if he would, future tense, would fly. 선물을 받고 뛸 듯이 기뻐했어요. He was so happy he could fly after he got the present. What kind of present would make Charsu happy? I think just a friend. I think Charsu just needs a friend. So one of these days I'm gonna meet a Korean friend. Their real name's gonna be Charsu. Okay. All right. Let's wait. Did something else happen? Michael won. I missed it. I don't know what happened. Okay. So, let's do the next sentence. 에어프라이어. 에어프라이어. I actually needed to write ka at the end, so let me rewrite that. What do you guys think 에어프라이어 means? 에어프라이어. You probably take a guess. It's an air fryer. Okay, I think let me turn off the red light. Okay. 에어프라이어 is an air fryer. You know, these days air fryers are really popular in Korea. I'd say from early last year, air fryers started to become like a thing where people would be like, "Hey, I can fry food at my house without using a deep fryer." It's kind of cool. We have one. They're not even expensive. They're pretty cheap, and they work really great. 에어프라이어가, this one's okay. I'll let you guys know this is a fully advanced sentence, but I think it's fun. 날개 is wings, so like wings of any sort of animal. Wings. 날개 돋친. Now, 날개를 돋치다 means to sprout wings. 날개를 돋치다. So we have 날개를 돋친 듯, as if it sprouted wings. Sprouted, past tense. 돋친. Again, if you're confused about this conjugation, I do have a video, a live stream I did about how to change action verbs into adjectives. Make sure to check that out. 날개를 돋치다. So here we have 날개 돋친 듯, as if sprouted wings. Well, what could an air fryer do? Before I finish this, I know we're not doing too great on time. It's okay. But I think I want you guys to think about this. What could an air fryer do as if it sprouted wings? I don't know if you can think of anything. Just think about it for a second. 에어프라이어가 날개 돋친 듯. As if the air fryer sprouted wings. Someone will get it. Let's see. I'm lost already. Sorry, Cameron. And jumped on my face. What? Fell off the counter. Okay, maybe. I'm just seeing if anyone has an example. Explode? No. Well, I mean, you could say something jumped onto my face as if it had wings. Yeah, sure. There's something more like an English expression we might say. What about they were sold? They were sold so fast it was like they had sprouted wings. Right? In English we would say fly off the shelves. Right? Don't we say that in English? Why am I asking you guys English questions? I speak English. Wouldn't we say that? Like they were so popular, they were just flying off the shelves as if they had wings? 팔리다 is to be sold. 팔려 나갔어요. So literally, 팔려 나갔어요. They were sold and they left. So like they were sold and they went. Like they flew off the shelves as if they had wings. Literally, as if they sprouted. 날개 돋친 듯. As if they sprouted wings. Now, don't get too caught up on the actual verbs used here. You might be thinking, Billy, this is like, I don't need this idiom. I've never heard this idiom before. Don't worry. Just please focus on the usage of 듯. Because you won't only see 듯 used in high advanced sentences like these. You'll see 듯 used in regular beginner sentences from time to time. I just want to give you a lot of examples of how it could be used. Because if I thought about this while writing the lesson. If I just gave you guys a bunch of sentences that were like, 먹듯이, 가듯이, you'll get it the same as if I explain it like this. But then you're going to be, later you'll see it in a more advanced sentence. You'll be like, is this the same thing? I'm not sure if it's the same thing. I want to tell you it's the same thing. So I'm giving you guys high advanced sentences for this advanced level. And 듯 is an advanced topic. Just focus on how it's being used. Even if you don't know these words, kind of learn them while I'm explaining. Don't stress about memorizing these. They're higher level stuff. If you want though, feel free, of course. 에어프라이어가 날개 돋친 듯 팔려 나갔어요. So the air fryer 팔려 나갔어요. 팔리다 were sold. 나갔어요. They left. So they were sold and left the store. 날개 돋친 듯 as if they had sprouted wings. They were sold. So the air fryers were just flying off the shelves as if they had wings, is what this sentence means. 에어프라이어가 날개 돋친 듯 팔려 나갔어요. Okay, let's do another sentence. But let's go on to our next form of 듯. Oops, I gotta fix Carrie's C. Okay. Gotta fix the C in Carrie before she gets mad. You don't want to make a Carrie mad. Trust me. Okay, the next form we're going to be using is the same thing, but a different version that you might see. And that is also with an action verb. But this time you're not going to change it into an adjective. You're going to take the action verb stem and attach 듯이 directly to it. And the way it works is the same. E is optional. Most often it's used in conversation. Less often in writing. Now, this actually has the same meaning as the form we just did. Almost the exact same. So what's the difference then? This though, overall, it has the same meaning as what we just did. But this one is a little bit stronger. Instead of saying it's as if or it's like, it's more like saying this is like exactly like. Exactly as if, just as if. That sort of meaning. Exactly like is the meaning that you have. So it's a bit stronger. So then when is it used? This is not the form you're going to be using when you want to say like it flew off the shelves like it had wings. This is the form you're going to be using in metaphors or idioms. Because it's stronger. This form will be the one that you'll see in idioms and metaphors. So there will be pre-made combinations of words that will use 듯 like this. And it'll be some sort of metaphor or idiom because it's a more stronger, more direct way of saying that something is like something. Now, it is the same 듯, but the nuance of this between the other form is that this is more of like an exactly like. It's just like that. So you might say something like, my younger brother, you might say something like, oh, she spends money like it's water, right? Like that sort of idiomatic expression, would it be something that you'd want to use this form instead of the other form? But overall, the meaning's the same. So if you were to use one or the other by mistake, your sentence is still going to make sense. Like say you're using an idiom, but you accidentally use the other form. It still makes sense, but now your phrase no longer sounds like an idiom. It sounds like you're just making a comparison for yourself. So is that kind of clear? Like the different nuance that you have when you're using this form versus the other one. And I have some examples, don't worry. I'm not just going to skip it. But does that kind of make sense? So using this form has more of like an idiomatic, more of a metaphorical usage and a feeling when you use it. So if you're using a metaphor, probably going to use this one. Not always, probably though. If you're going to be saying just a sentence, you just want to make a comparison like, oh, it's just like that, use the first form that we've learned. That one's going to be more common for that. Autumn Jenny, make this face. What is that? What is that face? You're like this? I don't know what that face is. I can't make that face. I can't move my lips on my forehead right there. It is as if. Feels like in English. Yeah, it could be like that. Okay, I'm just checking. All right. So yeah, let's do a sentence though. I think you'll start to see it when you see it used. I mean, you'll start to understand when you see it used in idioms yourself, how this has a different meaning. So let's do this example. Okay. 불 means fire. 보다, to see. As you see fire, as if you see fire. Now, this could mean, yeah, just like it's similar to how you would see fire. But seeing fire in Korean is something that you're seeing that's really obvious. You can't miss it, right? If you see fire, it's a Korean idiom, like 불 보듯. Like if there's fire, oh, it's there. You see it. It's not hiding. It's not like hard to see. Like everyone sees the fire right there. Like, dude, it's on fire, yo. Like, 불 보듯. So like you see fire, or we might say clear as day. And this is used in the expression 불 보듯 뻔하다. I'll just write this down. 불 보듯 뻔하다. 뻔하다 means to be clear and obvious. Something is obvious, like it's so clear to see. It's 뻔하다. Now, you can use 뻔하다 by itself normally. It's an intermediate to advanced vocabulary word. 뻔하다. 되게 뻔해. 뻔했어. It was so obvious. It was so clear. 불 보듯 뻔하다. Obvious like you see fire. So, clear as day, we would say in English. Clear as day. Literally, as you see fire, clear. Clear as if you see fire. Now, this is an idiomatic usage, so it sounds better. You could say, however, 불 보는 듯. 불을 보는 듯, right? With our first form. As if you were seeing fire. It sounds less of a metaphorical meaning, and it still makes sense. As if you were seeing fire. Like that. Like it makes sense. It has the same meaning, but saying as if, like as you see fire. It's a little bit shorter. It sounds more fancy. It sounds more idiomatic. So this tends to be used in idiomatic and metaphorical uses. Does that kind of make sense? I'm not done with the sentence though. So let's conjugate this. So we're going to finish the sentence, but that's the main part of it. Actually, let me write this down here so I can finish it. 결과 is a result. So it is a result or an outcome as clear as day. It was a result that was clear as day, or clear as you see fire, right? Like that. 불 보듯 뻔한 결과예요. Like the result was so obvious. It was so easy to see what the result was. Like obviously, I see, now that I see the result, it was 불 보듯 뻔하다. 불 보듯 뻔한 결과예요. 불 보듯, as you see fire, so clear as day, 뻔한 결과예요. So it was a result that was as clear as day, is what we would say in English. So clear like you see fire. Let's do another one. Yeah, we're good on time. Okay. 제 동생은 거짓말 is a lie. So 거짓말하다 is to lie. 거짓말을. Now, 밥 먹다. 밥, of course, is cooked rice. So 밥 is also what you would say for any sort of meal. Like you ask your friend, 밥 먹었어? Literally, did you eat a bowl of rice? Did you eat rice? But that's in the sense of like, did you eat something? Did you eat a meal? 밥 먹듯 해요. So here we have, let's just look at the 먹듯 part. 밥 먹듯. As you eat a meal. Like it's nothing. You're just like you would eat a meal. Num, 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 num. Done. I eat it. I eat a meal 3 times a day. It's no big deal. You just do it. 밥 먹듯 거짓말을 해요. So here it's separated. So I just want to make that clear. This 해요 is not referring to 듯. This 해요 is referring to 거짓말. So he lies like he eats a meal. He lies like he's just eating a meal, like it's nothing. Often, all the time. 밥 먹듯 해요. 제 동생은 거짓말을 밥 먹듯 해요. So he lies all the time. He lies like he eats a meal. 3 times a day. No big deal. A lot. 제 동생은 거짓말을 밥 먹듯 해요. So that's how this 듯 is used. You could go back and you could say 밥 먹는 듯 해요. But this would be less metaphorical. This would be like, he lies, it's almost like he's eating. He lies almost like he's eating, like almost like it's very often. And it's less direct. It sounds less metaphorical. It sounds more like you're just making a comparison. Like, oh, he's lying as if he's like doing it as much as he eats. And now it's not an idiom anymore. It's just like you're saying it. So yeah, it'll still make sense if you use the other one, but just kind of keep that in mind. You'll see 듯 used for any sort of idiomatic usage, and you'll see the other form used more commonly with just regular speaking. So yeah. And you guys can also learn like 밥 먹듯 separately if you want. You might think like drinking water or whatever you want to say for the idiom. Okay. So now let's go on to our next version of 듯. Are you guys all doing okay? Whoa, I just looked at the chat. And saw your donation pop up right on the screen. I just ran into this in a game. You did, Alyssa. What was the game sentence? Wow, thank you, Alyssa. Alyssa Detling. Oh, there's 2 T's. Oh, I gotta write down. Arlie's was 5. Arlie's name is just there with no number next to it. Thank you. Let's do a little dab party. Let's do a kimchi dance party. Don't want to hit I don't want to hit this fan that's randomly hanging in the middle of this waterfall area. Thank you. Thank you, really appreciate that. Okay, so let's go on to our next form, which is also 듯. But here is another way you can use 듯 without having to follow it by another sentence. So let's take a look at this. This might be the easiest 듯 we're going to be learning today. Okay, the way you use it is you take a verb stem. Now, I'm not saying action verb stem. This can be a descriptive verb stem. And then you're going to, actually, I don't need to say verb stem here. Let me say that again. I wrote stem, but then I realized that I was going to write down all the conjugations, and then I thought it's easier, so I changed it, but I forgot to, it's a typo. So it's not verb stem. You just get a verb and you change it to an adjective. So you take a verb, any verb, descriptive verb or action verb, and you change it into an adjective. Then you attach 듯, 하다, and you can conjugate 하다. Just like you would 하다. So 해요, 했어요, anything like that. So verb, change it to an adjective. This can be a descriptive verb or an action verb. Any tense you want. 듯 하다. What does this mean? Literally. Literally, this is to be doing, or even 하다 can also mean kind of like to act like something. So to be acting or doing like whatever verb comes before it. So maybe you want to say difficult. To be acting like something is difficult, or something is kind of like it's difficult. This is the literal meaning now. You don't need to think about this literal meaning fortunately, you don't have to think about this literal meaning in order to use and understand this form. Because there's actually an easier way we can translate it, and there's an equivalent beginner level form that we can use instead of this to help you guys understand. This is kind of like So first of all, I said it's kind of like you're doing or acting like or doing or acting as if verb. This is kind of like saying it seems as if. As in, again, this is my guess. All of this is your guess. So I'm guessing that it does, this is what you're saying, literally. In simpler terms, there is another form that I can tell you this is used mostly the same way as. 것 같다. You take a verb, you change it to an adjective, you attach 하다. You take a verb, you change it to an adjective, and you attach 것 같다. And then you conjugate 하다. And then you conjugate 같다. This has mostly the same meaning as saying this. Now, 것 같다 is a little bit different. I should make that disclaimer. In that this one's kind of more for expressing your actual thoughts. Like, I think is kind of how it translates. This one, though, is saying, according to my guess, it seems as if that. It seems as if. So what is the difference then? 듯하다 is kind of a fancier version of 것 같다. But in general, they have the same usage, the same conjugation, and mostly the same meaning. 것 같다 is kind of like saying, I think, and 듯하다 is kind of like saying, it seems as if. But they both are expressing your guess. They're both kind of expressing what you think. So in that way, they have a very similar meaning. So if you can use 것 같다, you guys can use 듯하다. Isn't that great? This magical shortcut makes this advanced form very accessible for beginners. So let's do an example of that. Like I said this is probably like the most beginner accessible advanced lesson we've had so far. Hopefully it's not too bad. Okay. 쉽다 is to be easy. So 쉽지 않을 것 같아요. Okay. Change this sentence to use 듯하다. Go ahead. Start. 쉽지 않을 것 같아요. I don't think it's going to be easy. Literally, I think it will not be easy. I don't think it'll be easy. 쉽지 않을 것 같아요. How would I make this into 듯하다? Go ahead. Nice, the one and only. Did seem more adjective, subjective. Yeah, they are slightly different in that sense. Like I said, 것 같다 is more like just your thoughts. And 듯하다 is you're saying your thoughts because it appears a certain way. But it's not like saying there's other forms that you could use to actually say something appears to be a certain way. This isn't like saying 모양이다, which is a different form I have a lesson about, which is really just saying it appears so, and you're not allowed to use that about things that are guesses or you don't have any evidence for. It's not like that. It's not that strong. But it's kind of like, well, I think it seems to be that way. It is similar to that way. But if you really want to get technical, you really want to like split hairs, 같다 also means to be the same. 듯 means to be almost exactly the same. 같다 means to be the same. So they're very similar in literal meaning as well. Now, you don't really think about 같다 as meaning the same when you're using it in this form. But yeah, that's what it is. You're saying it is the same as this, whatever comes before it. So in that sense, you're saying it's I think, if you want to get really technical. Okay, I had you guys change it to 듯해요, and you guys are doing great. So 쉽지 않을 듯해요. Done. Isn't this great? Isn't this a great form? Isn't that easy? 쉽지 않을 듯해요. So we get, it doesn't seem like it'll be easy. And now we have a little bit fancy of a version of 것 같다. Instead of just saying, I think it won't be easy, you're saying, it doesn't seem like it'd be easy. Like that. 쉽지 않을 듯해요. Isn't this easy? 쉽지 않을 듯해요. I thought it wouldn't be easy, but I think it's going to be pretty good. Okay, 쉽지 않을 듯해요. So I think it seems like it won't be easy. Oh, it seems like it wouldn't be easy. That's the sort of feeling you get with this. Let's do another. Okay, let's do a long sentence for you guys. Let's do a fun long sentence. I want you guys to try to translate this. 멋진 곳에서 왕이 먹던 음식을 먹으니. Now this is more of an advanced sentence, but go ahead and give it a try. 나도 왕이 된 듯 하다고 생각했어요. Here's a really long sentence. Okay, hopefully it's all on the screen. Okay, apologies for my messy writing. It's trying to just be fast. 멋진 곳에서 왕이 먹던 음식을 먹으니 나도 왕이 된 듯 하다고 생각했어요. 멋진 곳에서 왕이 먹던 음식을 먹으니 나도 왕이 된 듯 하다고 생각했어요. You don't have to translate it perfectly. Just give me like a rough general translation. It might take a while to make like a perfect word for word translation of it. I just kind of want to make sure you guys get the idea of it. Yeah, the one and only. Nice. You speak Urdu. Oh, that's really cool. The only word I know in that language is probably Urdu. Actually, I'm just guessing. I don't even know if that's a word in the language for the people. Yeah, there are people from India though, so you might find other people who can speak it. Try getting subtitles on the videos. That would be cool. Okay. 멋진 곳에서, at a place, a location that is cool. Stylish, cool. So a cool place, in a cool place. 왕이 먹던 음식, a food that a king had eaten. So 먹으니, this is 먹으니까. Because I am eating 먹으니, because I am eating food that a king had eaten in a cool place. So I'm at a really cool place and I'm eating food that a king had eaten before. 나도, me too, 왕이 된 듯하다. I also feel like, it also seems like 나도 왕이 됐다. I've also become a king. It also seems, here, I can finally get it out now. It also seems as if I have become a king. 고 생각했어요. I also thought that it seemed as if I had become a king because I was eating food that a king had eaten at a really cool place. It's hard to translate it because it's, goes backwards, but that's the meaning that we get. 멋진 곳에서 왕이 먹던 음식을 먹으니 나도 왕이 된 듯 하다고 생각했어요. So, let's just look at this part. This is the main part of our form, right? 나도 왕이 된 것 같아요. 나도 왕이 된 것 같아요. I also think I've become a king. That's kind of the meaning you get. But a more natural translation for 듯하다 is, it also seems like I became a king. It seems like I became a king too. That's more of like a natural translation that you get. So it seems as if I also have become a king. So it's like I became a king too, because I'm eating the same food a king ate at this really cool place. So it feels like I'm a king too. That's what I thought when I was eating there. 멋진 곳에서 왕이 먹던 음식을 먹으니 나도 왕이 된 듯하다고 생각했어요. So I also thought it was like I'd become a king because I was eating food at a cool place where a king had eaten. Well, in a cool place, I was eating food that a king had eaten. Let me say that. I'll do a little note there to fix that. Add in that. So I also thought it was like I'd become a king because I was eating food that a king had eaten at a cool place. Okay, let's do another sentence. And if you want more examples of this, believe me, there's plenty in the worksheet. There are so many examples, you'll get sick of this form, but there's a lot of them there. 많은 사람들이 마라톤 is marathon. 마라톤에 참여하다. 참여하다 is to participate. 참여할 듯 해요. 참여할 것 같아요. It seems as if 많은 사람들이 마라톤에 참여할 듯 해요. It seems as if many people will participate. 참여하다. 마라톤에, in the marathon. 많은 사람들이 마라톤에 참여할 듯 해요. It seems as if many people will participate in the marathon. 참여할 것 같아요. I think many people will participate in the marathon. It's similar, but it seems as if. It does sound much more fancy, right? They're both expressing your guess, right? You're not sure. You're not saying 할 거예요. You're not saying they will participate. It seems that way, right? 많은 사람들이 마라톤에 참여할 듯 해요. 참여할 듯 해요. It seems as if many people will participate in the marathon. Okay, let's do one more sentence. Arlie's name is like so distracting. It's so big. Like every time I look there, I just see Arlie's name and well, it was supposed to be red, but I don't have a red marker anymore. Okay, one more sentence for this form, and then we're going to go on to our last form. Fortunately, the next form we have is also similar to this one, so it's not going to be like a big jump. 바람이, the wind, 저에게, to me, 힘을 내다. 힘을 내세요. 힘내. Do you know the expression 힘내 or 힘내세요? Cheer up. 힘을 내다. To cheer up. So 힘을 내라고, quoting, cheer up, 내라고 얘기해 주는 듯해요. Yeah, 했어요 actually for this sentence. 뜻했어요. It seemed like 뜻했어요. The wind, 바람이 저에게 힘내라고, 저에게 힘을 내라고. It seemed like the wind was 얘기해 주는 듯 했어요. Telling me 힘을 내라고, cheer up. 바람이 저에게 힘을 내라고 얘기해 주는 듯 했어요. It seemed as if the wind was telling me to cheer up. Right? Maybe you're having a bad day and you're walking around, but the wind's like blowing some leaves around. It's not being annoying. It's just being like really calm, but like nice. And it seemed as if the wind was telling me to, to just cheer up. 바람이 저에게 힘을 내라고 얘기해 주는 듯 했어요. 바람이, wind, 저에게, to me, 힘을 내라고, cheer up, 얘기해 주는 듯 했어요. It seemed like it was telling me to cheer up. 바람이, the wind, 저에게, to me. 바람이 저에게 힘을 내라고 얘기해 주는 듯 했어요. So it seemed like the wind was telling me to cheer up. Okay. We have one more form of 듯. Now, this is the least common of all the 듯s. all the 듯들. All the 듯s. This is the least common of them. And, but it's still really useful. And that is 듯 싶다. So the way we're going to make our next form is you take a verb and again, you change it into an adjective. This is why you need to know how to conjugate adjectives from verbs, action verbs and descriptive verbs. So you take a verb and you change it into an adjective. Well, I'm trying to speak way too fast now. So the way to make it is you take a verb, you change it into an adjective, just like before, and then you attach 듯 싶다. Oops, I need to write this down here. And then you attach 듯, just like before, and then 싶다. Now, what is 싶다? 싶다 has a few meanings, but when it's used in grammar forms like this, in this situation, 싶다 means to think or to wonder. And there are other forms that use 싶다 with this same meaning, to think or to wonder. So let's look at this then. 듯 is something that's like something else, right? It's almost the same as something else. So I think that something is the same as something else, almost. I think that something is almost the same as something else. How is that different than 듯하다, right? 듯하다, we just said, means seems like. But now we get 듯싶다. I think it seems like, right? Yes, this is actually very similar to 듯하다 with a little bit of a difference. So first of all, let's just summarize. This form is like you're making a guess or an assumption about whatever comes before it. So you're making a guess about something. It's like something. How is this different than 듯하다? Well, this form is a little bit less common than 듯하다. But also, this form is more of a guess than 듯하다 is. 듯하다, as we said, is kind of like saying, it seems like. It's as if, right? I said it's kind of like saying thinking. Like, I think it is. Yeah, it's as if it is. 듯싶다 is more like, well, it could be. I think so, maybe. It's more of a guess feeling than 듯하다. But overall, the meaning is the same. It's still 듯. It's still saying something seems a certain way, but now you're saying, I wonder. It seems like that, literally. And 싶다, like I said, 싶다 is not used for saying I think so much, but it's more of an I think as in, let me say this again. 싶다 does mean to think or to wonder, but it's more of like a think as in I think, or I'm thinking about it. That sort of think. Not a think as in 생각해요, I think. It is. This is what I think. But you're more like, maybe, I wonder. I think, I wonder. So it's more of that wondering kind of to think. That's why this is less of a 듯하다 form. That's why this is more of just a guess than 듯하다. And it's less common than 듯하다, but it has the same usage and overall still the same translation, the same general meaning. Just it's more of a guess. So does that kind of clear it up? We'll do a sentence in a second. I just want to check the chat, see how you guys are doing. You guys are doing okay? Does this make sense? Jungkook but bald? What's going on? Okay. Nice, nice. Oh, I kind of think that maybe, yeah, that's great, Grant. If you're wondering more about 싶다, there is a lot of forms that will end in like 나 싶다, 가 싶다. I actually did a full live stream all about 싶다 forms that you can watch on my channel. There's a lot, but that's the feeling that 싶다 has. It's like, I wonder, like that sort of thinking. Not I do think something, but I'm thinking about it. To think like, maybe, yeah, I think so. It's kind of going around in my head, but I'm not expressing that as my thought so much. Just it seems that way. So because it also still kind of has the same meaning overall as 듯하다, you can use it interchangeably with 듯하다. Just know that it's more of a guess. Whereas 듯하다 is kind of like, well, it seems like it. It's not so much of a guess. You're saying your thoughts. You're saying something when you're saying 듯하다. You're saying, well, I think so, like it seems that way. This is more like, well, it seems that way. Yeah, or as Grant said, I kind of think that maybe could work. So yeah, it's more of a guess. Okay, let's do an example with this. Aren't you glad though these are all pretty easy to make, the conjugations, as there's not like really specific rules like, oh, you can't use it with this, you can't use it with this. It's straightforward, just adjective, 듯. Adjective, 듯하다. Adjective, 듯쉽다. And the only exception is 듯 when it's used after a verb stem in a metaphorical or idiomatic usage. Isn't that great? It's so nice to have something that's advanced, but that's kind of easy to use. Relatively easy to use. Okay. Actually, let's do this. 무릎이 So 니 무릎이 아픈. This is actually a common sound change exception where people actually say 무릎이, although it should be 무릎이. You'll hear 무릎이 way more often. 무릎이 아픈 걸 보니. Seeing as 보니까, because I saw that my knees hurt. 무릎이 아픈 걸 보니. Have you ever had, do you know anyone who suddenly says, oh, my knees hurt a little bit today? What does that mean? What do people say that means? I want to see, what do you guys think? If someone says that their knees hurt a little bit, like, oh, my joints hurt a little bit today, what does that mean? Can someone actually guess? Can you guess what the ending of the sentence will be using 듣씹다? Arthritis. Yeah, that's the one and only is arthritis. Evolving Brain just said old in all caps. Yes, those two. It means you old. Okay, it could mean that too. Rain. Yes, it's going to rain. So finish the sentence. 무릎이 아픈 걸 보니. I think it seems like maybe, I think that maybe it's going to rain. How would you finish this sentence? 비가 올 듯 싶어요. Yeah, Esher. Esher. I'm like rapping. Esh. They had an injury while playing a sport. Could be. I heard actually the reason is because we have air in our joints, right? That's why when you can pop, when you pop your joints and you hear those cracks, you're not snapping your bone, you're just popping the little air bubbles that are in your joints. And it doesn't hurt your joints, despite the common belief that it's damaging your bones. It doesn't. It's just popping the air. So some people, though, I heard will have a lot more air in between their joints. So when the pressure, right, when the pressure of the air changes, kind of like when it's going to rain, that they're more sensitive to that pressure change. So their joints will start to hurt a little bit. Their knees have a lot of air in them. There'll be this lot like bigger air pouches in there. So that air will either, expand or shrink or whatever. And that kind of lets them know the pressure in the air has changed, so it's probably going to rain, right? The air pressure will change typically when it's going to rain. So that's the science behind it. But yeah, you guys, a few you got the answer. KB1 not 온 듯 싶다. It didn't rain. Past tense. We want future tense. 무릎이 아픈 걸 보니. So seeing as my knees hurt, 비가 will rain 듯 싶어요. Literally, I wonder, it seems like it's going to rain, seeing as my knees hurt. So, seeing as my knees hurt, I think it's going to rain. You could translate it as I think. Just know that the meaning is more of like you're not so sure. The meaning is not so sure about it. You're not like, oh, I think it's going to rain. 비가 올 것 같아요. You could say, 무릎이 아픈 걸 보니 비가 올 것 같아요. You can say that. 비가 올 듯해요. It seems like it's going to rain. But 듯 싶어요, like, I think maybe it's going to rain. That's kind of the feeling. It's less sure. It's more of a guess than 듯하다. 무릎이 아픈 걸 보니 비가 올 듯 싶어요. So I think it's going to, seeing as how my knees hurt, I think that it will rain today. Let me say that again. I didn't say today. Seeing as how my knees hurt, I think that it will rain. It will, or future tense, it will rain. 내일이면, so by tomorrow, literally if it's tomorrow. But since it's not tomorrow yet, so if it were tomorrow, this is kind of a way to say in speaking, casual speech, not necessarily casual, colloquial. So everyday speech, you can also say something 이면 for a date to mean by that date. Literally, if it were that date. So 내일이면, by as in on that day. No, not before, but on that day. So by tomorrow, 내일이면 끝날 듯 싶어요. So I'm thinking maybe it'll finish by tomorrow. 내일이면 끝날 듯 싶어요. I'm thinking maybe it'll finish by tomorrow. Literally, if it's tomorrow, it seems that it will finish, I think. I'm thinking it'll finish by tomorrow. 내일이면 끝날 듯 싶어요. 내일이면 끝날 듯 싶어요. 내일이면 끝날 듯 싶어요. 뜻 싶어요. Okay. Writing a note. Okay. I'll leave this up for just a second and then we're going to write the last sentence. 내일이면 끝날 듯 싶어요. I didn't even think about it that far. An airhead. I don't mean an airhead, but you know what I mean. 듯 싶어요. Yeah. Let me verify that. That's what I was thinking when I said, I'm like, you know what? I think it does flow together because that's how I hear it. But then whenever I always say it so, I always say it separated. Oh no, it is. It is supposed to be separated, Grant. Ha! I was like, I swear I was saying it how I heard it, but then I was thinking about it again, and I'm like, after I said it, I was like, wait, this is the same letter. Shouldn't it become 듯 싶어요? But then I said it, and I'm like, that sounds weird. That sounds wrong. I just checked. It is 듯 싶어요. It is separate. It is separate. It is separated. It's an exception where it is actually said as 듯 싶어. 듯 싶어. Yeah. 듯 싶다. Yeah. Okay. So it is said as I've been saying it the whole time. Fortunately, not incorrectly this whole time. I swear I hear it that way. 내일이면 끝날 듯 싶어요. Okay, so I think it's going to finish by tomorrow. I think the project or whatever it is, maybe a project or some sorts or whatever going on is going to be finished by tomorrow. Okay, now let's do our last sentence. Our last sentence here. Oh, you're talking about someone else? Okay. I thought you were talking about me. I was like, I didn't think I said it. 좋은 선생님인 것 같아요. 정국. I did a live stream about how to use 것 같다. You're just missing the verb 이다, to be. So like is a good teacher, is whatever you want to say, or is not. 아니다, 아닌 것 같다, like that. Or 인 것 같다, is. Okay, let's do last sentence here. Oops. Now I'm getting all confused. Grant's got me confused about pronunciation. I almost spelled a word the way that it's pronounced. I was going to spell it as 많이, and I was like, what am I doing? 연습을 많이 했지만. I'm always like thinking about that because like I'm trying to think about grammar at the same time as like speaking English properly, at the same time as like pronouncing things slowly and clearly. Yeah, it's like I make lots of little mistakes here and there while doing these live streams. I'll be the first to say that. 아직 부족한. Okay. 듯 싶어요. Okay. Something I have to make a note of before we do the sentence. If you haven't noticed, all of the three sentences we have are 싶어요 with present tense. Could be future tense. Actually, let me say this differently. Most of the time you see this isn't going to be so much in conversation. So I'll say this again like that. Most of the time you see this, it's actually not going to be in your regular type of conversation. It's going to be in a little bit of a fancy sort of conversation. Like, it seems as if this, like that sort of thing. This kind of has a little bit of a fancy feel to it. And a lot of the way that you'll see it is going to be just as the present tense. 싶어요. Something 듯 싶어요. 듯 싶어요. 듯 싶어요. That's really going to be the most common way that you see it. So you don't really need to do lots of changes to this form. Just an adjective before 듯 싶어요. 듯 싶습니다 is okay. You don't really need to get too fancy with it because most of the time it has a fancier sound to it in the first place. It tends to just get used in that sort of straightforward form anyway. So I think we can get rid of that note. Done with that. Okay, so here is our last sentence. 연습을 많이 했지만. So I did a lot of practicing. 연습. 연습을 많이 했지만. I did a lot of practice, but 했지만 아직, still or yet, 부족하다, to be insufficient, to not be enough. 부족하다. 부족한 듯 싶어요. So here it's not past tense, it's just the present tense because 부족하다 is a descriptive verb. So it conjugates differently when it changes into an adjective. 부족한 듯 싶어요. So just look at the very end of the sentence. 부족한 듯 싶어요. So 부족한 듯, as if it's not enough. 싶어요. I'm thinking as if, I'm wondering as if it's not enough, is the literal meaning you get. 연습을 많이 했지만, so I did a lot of practice. I practiced a lot, but 아직 부족한 듯 싶어요. But I still think I'm not good enough. Sometimes I get that feeling. You know, I've been practicing Korean, I've been learning Korean and teaching Korean for a long time. Now I've been studying it for 15 years, over 15 years. And sometimes I still feel like, oh, I'm just not good enough. I still need to get, you know, I can compare myself to someone who's lived in Korea longer than me, or someone who's studied longer or from a younger age. And I can still feel that. 부족한 듯 싶어요. I still feel like it's not enough. But just guys, just keep going. You will learn only as much as you are trying to learn. If you're not putting in a lot of time, and you know, don't expect to learn a lot of Korean unless you're putting in a lot of time. So I try to kind of make it, you know, think of it more realistically. How much time am I really putting into Korean? Well, I put in a lot of time because I do this YouTube channel, but I still could probably put in even more time, right? Maybe, you know, if I could live in Korea again for a while, travel there again, that would be great. Watch more videos in Korean, you know, I can still do more. But I just remember thinking this a lot. That's why I'm pointing it out. I remember thinking this a lot when I was first learning Korean after even a year or so. And I felt like, wow, you know, 연습을 많이 했지만 아직 부족한 듯 싶어요. I still feel like maybe I'm still not good enough, although I practiced a lot. But thinking about it now, it's been a lot more time. I've had now more practice, and I do think I have improved a lot since then. So yeah, just keep going. You are getting better. As much time as you're putting in, you are getting out. But anyway, back to the lesson. 연습을 많이 했지만 아직 부족한 듯 싶어요. So I practiced a lot, but I still think that I'm not good enough, or it's not good enough, something like that. All right, so that was our last sentence for today. And like I said, if you get the worksheet for today's live stream, which is on Patreon for all Patreons, even the $1 tier, then you can get another 26 example sentences of all 4 of these uses that we did today. So you want to practice more idiomatic usage, you want to see more tada, whatever, it's all there. There's plenty of sentences, you can translate them. All advanced level, mostly all advanced level, but still some good practice to see how it could be used. We finished a little bit early, so we can do 15 minutes or so of Q&A, and then we'll stop the stream right at 3:30. So if you have any questions, now is the time. Hey, Chris. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Oh, you have a question too. What are the differences? Hold on, let me put your name up here first. Chris. Okay. Okay, what are the differences in nuance between this and the other guessing grammar, like 나봐, 것 같아, Rodrigo? Okay, 나봐, 나보다, or 가보다, same thing. Just depending on what kind of verb and what tense it's being used. I have a different lesson about 가보다, which you can check out on my YouTube channel, which really goes into it. This 보다 literally means to see. This is when you're saying, perhaps, I guess something because of my observation. So this is observed guess, right? Because I see you, you look tired. 피곤한가 봐, 피곤하나 봐, something like that. 추운가 봐, 춥나 봐. I guess it's cold because I'm experiencing it. It's some sort of viewed, literally, I see. Maybe, is it? Whatever verb comes before. And this is a very, very quick example. Very, very quick explanation. And then 것 같다 is literally, it seems, sorry, not it seems, but it's like something. So I'm just saying my thoughts. So I could be like, I think it's a good idea. I think, just emphasizing what's in your head, not because of something you viewed. Now, you can say something's a good idea with 좋은가 봐, but that's because you observe something. Like, oh, I saw, it's good. It looks good. Or I guess it's good. That sort of thing. For a more detailed explanation, I actually do talk about this more in the live stream where I teach about the na 보다 form or ka 보다 form. So check that out. There's a lot more detail in it, but this is just the really basic one, that this is more like an observed guess like that. Okay. And you'll find there are actually a lot more forms that mean to seem like or to be like. There's several others. Like I said, I did a Korean FAQ episode about 모양이다, which is an appears like, but that also has different uses. That's really like an appears, like it looks, it's more of a literal, it appears as if, and that one has also its own when it's used and when it's not used and stuff like that. Can you run through all the forms, please? Yeah, I should do a, like, did you guys see the, like, wacko names all of the countries in the world or something like that kind of video? I should do one of those for all the Korean forms. Like where I just name through all the Korean forms and say what they're for. Yeah. That's one way to get a copyright strike. Donate on Patreon as well. If you do a donation, on Patreon, on what is it, PayPal, please let me know during the live stream because I can actually check my email. And that counts. And oh, speaking of the devil, hey, Cameron, thank you. Cameron, of course, while I was just saying that, had sent me a $25 donation through PayPal, which I didn't even check because, you know, why would I check my email during a live stream? But yes, so let me hold on. I can do this manually. Thank you. If this ever wants to turn on. There we go. Okay, just doing it manually. Okay, thank you, Cameron. Got to do a dab dance for you. Okay. I have to make sure I turn it off every time because sometimes I'll leave it on for like the rest of the live stream. Oh, I got another donation. Who was this? Oh, 2, Evolving Brain. You gave me 2 donations with the same, you gave me 2 with the same question. You really want me to read that. Okay, Evolving Brain, thank you. Evolving 뇌, all right, Evolving 뇌, because I don't have enough room to write Evolving Brain. Okay, now let's see what your question is. Oh, let me do a quick dab. Thank you, Evolving Brain. And is there a form which means I assume related to these forms covered today? Yes. You can use, there is a literal form for assume, but it's not the one you actually want. I would say 가 싶다 is quite similar. One of the 싶다 forms, they can all kind of have that seems like maybe. And there's one 가 싶다. So to do it, you simply make the 가 form. You know, it's the same as the 가요 form, like shall we do something, but you stop when you get to 가. So you don't add the 요 to the 가요 form. So like 갈까요, 할까요, 추울까, 그럴까, it's the exact same 가 form. Then you do 싶다, and you can conjugate that as 싶어요 or anything like that. 그럴까 싶어요. And what you do is you make this into a negative. So you do a negative 가 싶다 form. So a negative verb. As in, 지 않을까, something verb stem here, 지 않을까, let's rewrite this. Sorry, it's so messy, I'm just doing it fast. And then 싶다. Okay. The reason is, normally 가 싶다 is like, I'm wondering, could it be? Because you have 가. Could it be? Would it be? 싶다. I'm wondering, is it? Could it be? Here you're making, couldn't it be? So it's a soft way. You're not saying like, I think it is, like you're assuming it is. I assume it is. You're saying, I assume that's, but you're saying it in an indirect way. So it's a very indirect way to say, I assume something by saying, couldn't it be maybe, I wonder, couldn't it be that way? Now, this would be useful if you wanted to say like, well, I assume that you were going to do that, or I assume that it'll be okay. Like, you kind of want to stand back a little bit. You're like being indirect when you're saying assume in that way. So this is kind of like an indirect way to say you assume something. Like, couldn't it be like 그렇지 않을까 싶어요? I'm thinking like maybe it won't be, maybe it could be, that sort of sense. Or you can directly just say, I think, like that. Like a lot of the forms, you're not really going to need to translate them directly into English. You can also do something like, if you give me an example of a sentence, I can translate it maybe with a different form as well. You could also use there are words that directly mean to assume. 가정하다 is literally to assume something, but it's not really used that often as it is. If you're saying I assume it and I think it is, you can use 생각하다. If you're assuming something and you're wrong, you can use 줄 알다 or 줄 모르다. And I have a full live stream about this. Like I said, you're asking one question, but there really isn't an easy translation for that. It would depend on what it is you want to say that you assume. 줄 알다, I did a live stream all about this, different forms for 줄. And this can also mean I assumed you were Korean. I assumed you could speak Korean. I assumed it was cheap. And that means you're right about it, or maybe you're wrong about it. And that'll depend on the context, right? So this one's also a simple way to just say, oh, I assume that, as in, I obviously thought that. That sort of thing. Okay. But please watch the live stream about 줄 as well as the live stream about 쉽다 for more information on those. Evolving brain. Can you talk about common imperative forms? Can you give me an example of what you mean? Evolving brain. And thank you. Give me an example of what you mean. Evolving brain. Imperative forms. Because you can have like imperative forms like do something. 하세요. 하십시오. A formal command. Or 해주세요. Like that. Is it really? I guess so. Yeah, I guess so, because we got the 25 through PayPal from Cameron. Evolving. Give me an example. How to conjugate 수줍다? 수줍은. Someone just asked. 수줍다 to become 수줍은. Oh, would you go outside? Like I said, you have to speak different in Korean because there are politeness levels, because you'll be polite to older people. So if you're talking with your friends, there are different things you could say than if you're talking with someone who's older than you. You couldn't say like, would you go outside to someone who's older than you? You might want to say, would it be okay if you would go please wait outside? 저기 혹시 잠깐만 밖에서 기다려 주실 수 있으세요? Could you please just wait for a second a little outside? You would say, could you? Not do it. If you want to be more polite. To your friend, 밖에서 기다려 좀. 밖에서 기다리고 있어. 있어라. Now, I can't write all these down because there'd be a lot of them. Your friends, you can just tell them, do it. You can't tell do it to someone older than you. You could say, 밖에서 기다려 주세요. 기다려 주시겠어요. So I think the, that form with 주시겠어요 is a generic, polite way to say, would you please do something? As in like a command, like please do something. Could you please, would you please, literally, would you please 해주시겠어요? Would you please do it? 잠깐 나가 있어 주시겠어요? Would you please go outside for a little bit? And you have to say it with kind of like a nice expression. If you're like, would you go wait outside for me? Obviously, it's not polite no matter who you're talking with. So you got to watch your body language and your expression when you say it too. But yeah, be careful when you're giving a command to someone older than you because it can come across as rude. Okay. I used a Nika form today. Nika form. We have this joke in my gaming channel that a Nika is one of our mods as well. I'm not sure if he's here right now, but he's one of our mods, and he's also pretty high level in Korean. So whenever we come up with a difficult grammar form, we call it a Nika form in the gaming stream. It's just like an inside joke. I said ni instead of Nika to my mom-in-law, and it worked well. That's right. Ni is the same thing as Nika, but like it's more of a fancy, like a written version. Getting older in Korean is way more fun than English. Yes, because you can you have more freedom in how you can speak to other people. Cheryl, you're only as old as you feel. That's nice. That's very nice to say. Yara, hey, Jazz. Can you please explain the difference between 서 and 기 때문에? No, Yara, I did a full lesson about that. Actually, I think I also reviewed it last stream too. 서 is used for if you say an emotion because of, like I am sad, I am sorry, I am happy, I am thankful because 서. If the subject of the first part is the same as the subject of the second part, you can use 서 as because. I am late because I did this. Because I ate too much, my stomach hurts. The same subject, me, you, he, she. It cannot be because of me, you do this with 서. And then finally, if you're giving any sort of command, like you're saying, do this because, or shall we go? Because the weather's nice, shall we go outside? Any sort of command or suggestion, you cannot use 서. So that's the quick summary of it. But I have a live stream about it, you can learn more. Alyssa, I looked down at the green. I thought, is this evolving brain again? Is this evolving brain with more questions? The game sentence you helped me with. Oh, thank you, Alyssa. Wow. I think Alyssa is our, actually just barely our top donor for today. The game sentence you helped me with. 이규혁은 15삼키듯 끄덕였다. Nice. Yes, so can you translate that for me, Alyssa? 끄덕였다. 15삼키듯. I did B equals B. Growing up is mandatory. Growing old is mandatory. Growing up is optional. That's true. That's a very good point. I've met some people who I thought should be a lot more mature for their age, but weren't. It's very common. And then I met some people who are younger than me that I feel like, wow, this guy is cooler than me. Like, this person's really got a nice, calm mind. Oh, I wish I could have that. Like, that's, you know, it's not always... Typically, though, younger people are less mature and older people are more mature, but there's a lot of cases where that's not true. He nodded as if he was chewing over it. Yeah, 씹어 삼키다. 씹다 is like to chew something. 삼키다 is to swallow. So like chewing and swallowing. So he's kind of like nodding as if like he's chewing over it. Yeah. And notice that it's 삼키듯, not 삼키는 듯. So it's more like a metaphorical thing, like as if he's doing that, right? Not as if he is swallowing and chewing literally, but like, you know, it's a metaphorical thing, like as if he chews over it. Today was a very good live. Yeah, we did. We got exactly $100 donations. I think I need to do a special dab before we leave because we only got a few minutes left. Let me do a special dab. This is the special dab we get. To all of Korea, thank you guys for joining in my stream today. It's a great stream. We were able to reach $100 in donations, and hopefully you guys got a lot out of it too. I had fun preparing this live stream, and the next live stream that we get should be fun as well. So make sure to pay attention to tomorrow for the voting options. Definitely. Okay. Oops. And that just goes out to everyone who donated today. What's the difference between K-word and 달? Arlie, you can use either. Of course, the main difference that you know already is that K-word uses Sino-Korean numbers. So you could say 1개월, 10개월. 달 is used with pure Korean. So 한 달, 두 달, 세 달. They have the same meaning though. You are going to be limited though in how many months you can count with 달. And I'd say that 달 is used more in conversation, and K-word is going to be used more in like formal purposes and in writing. You're going to see writing like, you know, formal writing or anything would always use K-word because you need to be able to count. You might need to count how many months, and as soon as you go beyond 30, it's hard to count things beyond like 40 such and such with pure Korean numbers. It's not as common, so you'll switch to use K-word anyway. I would recommend using K-word, but for really short numbers like 1, 2, 3 months like that, just use 달. It sounds much better for regular speech. Is that kind of clear? But if you want, you can always say like 6개월 동안 공부했어요. I studied for a 6-month period. Or 6달 공부했어요. But more natural is going to be the really small numbers. So like 한 달, 두 달, 세 달, 네 달. Those sound very natural using 달. And then the other numbers above that might sound more natural using K-word. Wait. We need a back. Oh, thank you. I almost forgot. What is the background pic? What's the background picture? What do we do? Okay, we got to get this a little bit out of the way. I can't. What's the sun looks really weird. The sun looks really weird today. Okay, we got to have we got to put something on the board. We got to put something on the board. Okay, what? Okay, we got to get like this. So like what? Like I don't even know. And then what should I be doing? There we go. That looks very clickbaity. The water is too fast. Yeah, I'm not going in that water. I wouldn't go in that water no matter what happened. Even if my hat fell in the water, I'm not going to go in that water. That's dangerous. Pointing back. Billy pointing. What do you mean? Spider-Man me? Okay, what would that be like? Okay, I can take it in two pictures then. Let me check the Spider-Man meme. Hold on, let me check the Spider-Man meme to see exactly the pose he's doing. Okay, one is facing this way, the other one's facing the other. So like this. Is that good? Okay, that's for one side. And then the other side has to be this way like this, right? There we go. We can put these together. Let me do this again though, because I think we got the donation popped up. I'll check that in a second, just so we don't have the donation over me. Another donation. Okay. Okay, something like that. I'll splice those together to get our thumbnail for today. And Ocean Discovery. Ocean D. Sunny D. Sunny D asks a question, so we'll do that. 나던가. It's a combination of actually 이다, to be, and 든가, or 던가. You might hear 던가 as well. I unfortunately wouldn't have enough time to go through this in detail because we're out of time now. But 든가 is more like a whatever. I don't care. Whatever, but it literally translates something as like or. Like that, or that, or, and this is when it's used with ida. It becomes ida. With other verbs, you'll see a different verb stem. 그걸 좋아하던가, 싫던가, whether he likes it or whether he doesn't, is what it literally means, but it implies whatever. It doesn't matter. If you give me a sentence, I can tell you exactly how it means this in the sentence. But it just shows sort of lack of interest in what's going on, as in like or that, or that, or that, or whatever. Like just do that. 가던가. Just go, or whatever. I don't care. So someone's like, if you don't stop saying bad things about me, I'm going to leave right now. 가던가. Literally, you're saying go or do whatever. You don't even have to add something else for or. It's just like go or whatever. I don't care. 가던가. Just go. Like that. So it implies something doesn't matter. It doesn't have to necessarily mean like I don't care, but you're just implying like whatever the option is, doesn't matter. In that sense. It doesn't affect the situation. So in that way, it's used often to say like, I don't care. But just to clarify, it doesn't have to necessarily mean I'm saying something negative, just that it doesn't matter in the whole grand scheme of things. Okay. All right, so thank you thank you everyone for coming. Thank you again to everyone also who donated today. That was a great stream. I think we had a lot of fun. Hopefully the form makes sense, even if you weren't an advanced learner today, although this was definitely an advanced form. So thank you again to Alex Full Metal, Carrie, Arlie in red, Alyssa, Chris, Cameron, Evolving Brain, Alyssa again, and Ocean Discovery at the end there. And I will see you guys again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. It's really man, it's really kind of hot out here actually, even with the stream burling. Let me just kind of put my hat on. Oh no, where'd my hat go? Where'd my hat go? Hold on, guys. Gotta get my hat. Uh-oh. That's not good. Let me see if I can, let's see if I can get this. Well, let me try. Give me a second. Give me a second. I don't know. Okay. All right. Where is it? It's right here. Right. Oh, that's right. I turned it off. Okay. Oh, there it is, guys. You see the hat? It's floating in the lake, guys. I think it goes this way. It's going away. My hat's going away, guys. It's getting swept away. Okay, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna go in after it, guys. Okay, guys. Hopefully I can catch this hat.